Hello and welcome back. So this is our video number 2 when it comes to the Power Query series. So in this point, I'll actually show you how we can upload this data into the Power Query inside Excel. So we have the Power Query inside Excel and we also do have the Power Query inside the Power BI. So I'll actually show you how we can navigate between the two. So before you actually continue, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Then after subscribing to the channel, also follow me on the X platform so that we can build one of the largest communities together. So what you actually do in this point is to get to the file tab there, then hit on new. So you actually open a new workbook. Then after opening the new workbook, make sure you actually close the workbook which actually contained the data. So you close it. So go down there, then you actually check that it has been saved, Power Query project. So you close it like that, then you just open a blank one. So in this blank one, we are going to import that Power Query project, that's the data inside the Power Query project, into this point here. Yes, so that you can actually work on cleaning. So to actually get yourself into the Power Query inside Excel, you have to click on Data tab. Then inside the Data tab, you have what you call Get and Transform Data. Get Data. You click on it like that. Then there's a point where we have From File. And remember, we actually have our data inside the Excel. So it's actually from Workbook. That's from Excel Workbook. You click on it like that. And that's all. So this is it. Now my file was actually inside the desktop, so I'll actually click on the desktop. Click on the desktop there. Then on this point, you have to look for Power Query project. So Power Query project, and this is it. So I'll click on it like that, then hit on import. So we are now importing it into this point here so that we can work on it inside the Power Query in Excel. So remember, this one is Power Query in Excel. So what we actually did was to close the file which actually contained our project. Then we actually opened a new workbook file. Then in the new workbook file, we went into the data tab. Then inside the data tab, we actually get to get data. This is actually we actually got to get data. So this get and transform data is actually the Power Query. So this is basically the Power Query that you're talking about. So transform is actually clean. So that's why we went to this point, got the data, then we selected the workbook file. That's the Excel workbook file because our data was actually in Excel workbook. So just like that, and you have to select your data. In my point, you can actually check that we just have one sheet. If you add multiple sheets, you come to this point here and hit on select multiple sheets, then you click on them just like that. But in my case, we actually had one, so there's no need. You click on it like that. Then after clicking on it like that, you can actually check down here. We have what you call transform data. Yes, we actually want to clean this data. You can actually check that you have null, and we would actually want to do away with those rows which actually contain the null points in the records. So we have to hit on transform data like that. So in transforming the data, wait and see what we'll actually get. So we'll now get what we call a query. So after loading it into the Power Query inside Excel, you will have what you call a query. So this is basically what you call a query. And the name of our query is actually sheet 1. We can call it query 1, no problem. So call this one query 1. Just like that, hit enter on the keyboard. So this is our query 1, and up there you can actually check that we have the name Power Query Editor. And in this Power Query Editor, you can actually check the logo for Excel. So this actually tells you that this is Power Query in Excel. So remember, we are still inside the Excel workbook. Now, in this point, you can actually check that we have what you call the steps. So in Power Query, we do not actually have the undo or redo. So whatever you will be doing will be recorded in this point here. So if you want to get back, you just have to click on this point here. That is actually getting back. If you want to get back to the latest point, you just have to click on the last point. So this is where you use for navigation, for redoing and undoing. So for Ctrl Z and Ctrl Y, this is where you actually do it. And this is actually very important because it actually records all the steps that you are actually taking here. So if you change something, it will be recorded here. It will be recorded here, and that's all. Now, because this is actually the Power Query in Excel, allow me to also show you how we can load our data inside the Power Query in Power BI. So that's it. Now, before we actually go into uploading our workbook file inside the Power BI, I'll actually bring you to this point here. So in this point, you can actually check that I have Microsoft Excel courses from AI in BI, AI in Excel, core visualization, data lookup, all the way up to the last one, which is actually on formulas and functions. So I have all these Excel courses, and I'll actually get you access into my Google Drive account at just $100. So $100, and you access all this premium content, which will actually be on my website very soon. And when it is actually on my website, it will be going at $945. So imagine getting a deal worth $945 at $100. So that's actually insane. So on this other end, you can also get me the work on the projects. Let's say, for example, your work is actually running from month 1 to month 2 to month 3, just like that. So it's actually on a monthly basis. So if it's on a monthly basis, I will urge you to subscribe to this monthly retainer, and this monthly subscription actually goes at $550 a month. So for $550 a month, you get all this work done for you. That is the cloud in Excel, dashboards, we have the charts, we have the automation, we have the pivot tables and the models, you have the Power BI, we have the financial forecast, we have the templates management. All that work, just $550 a month. For the one-time task on let's say dashboard designs, data analysis and insights, automation and smart macros, Power BI reports, these ones are actually the prices from $150 all the way to $300. Very good prices indeed. And up there, you will also realize that I will be accepting the work for the templates from your end. So you can actually get me the work so that I can design for you the templates. After designing for you the templates, I can manage the templates and also deliver the results. So that is monthly retainer, template management and delivery, $50 a month. So for the one-time task also, so you can actually get me on the business dashboard templates, $19, personal finance templates, inventory templates, reporting templates, HR templates, sales performance templates, all those kinds of templates. You can actually check that the prices are fairly good. $22, $19, $15, $17, $12, $19. So that's it. So to reach me out for the task, use this email here so that you can actually talk business. So let me also show you how we can use the Power Query inside the Power BI, or how we can actually upload our file into the Power Query inside Power BI so that you can actually do the cleaning. So inside the Power BI, yes, so make sure you actually download the Power BI desktop. So inside the Power BI, we have this point here for the Power Query, that is get data, the Excel workbook, One Lake catalog, SQL server, enter data, database, recent sources. All this group here is actually for the Power Query. So you can just click on this point here, that is import data from Excel, or you click on this point here, Excel workbook, because I'm actually dealing with Excel. So you click on this point here, which is actually Excel workbook, or you just get to get data there, then you tick on Excel workbook. After ticking on Excel workbook, you click on the desktop, because my file is actually inside the desktop, just like that, and you scroll downwards until you actually get the Power Query project. This is it. You click on the Power Query project like that, then you hit on open. So we expect to get an interface very similar to what we actually had in Power Query inside Excel. So let's actually wait as it tries to connect. So this is it, and it will actually tell you that this is the file in Excel. So the file name is actually Power Query project.xlsx is actually the extension for Excel files. And on this point here, our data is actually located inside sheet 1, just like that. And I'm actually transferring the data. If you click on load, it will actually load directly. Loading actually means your data is already clean. But in this point here, I want to clean the data first. That is, I want to transform. So you click on transform there. So you can now check what we have here. Yes. So in this case here, we have the query name. And you can actually check that the query name is actually sheet 1. We can call it query 1. Query 1 like that. Hit enter on the keyboard, and you can also check that the name applies to this point here. So this is basically the name of our query. And you can also check that we have very similar tabs to what we actually had inside the Power Query in Excel. So you can actually check that we have the home tab here, and you can actually check that whatever we have on this point here is very close to what we actually had in Power Query in Excel. So you can actually check the logo up there is actually for Power BI. This logo here is for Power BI. So this actually tells you that this is Power Query in Power BI. The previous one was actually Power Query in Excel. So you can actually clean your data inside Power Query in Power BI, or get to this point here for Power Query editor in Excel and do the work. So let's meet in the next video.